On the panel at this moment, Julio Rivera, Newsmax insider, conservative activist, and host of the Julio Rivera Show on Lanterns Radio Network. And in this corner, Jim Hoft, founder of thegatewaypundit.com, conservative blogger and investigative reporter. All right, gentlemen, I want to start with something I talked about at the beginning, these supposed hate crimes, these rash of hate crimes that are out there. Jim, you had a story up there about, which I referred to earlier, about a swastika being put on a church at Northwestern University, made to look like it was Trump supporters doing it. Turned out to be two leftists, and they're now under arrest. But, you know, most of these accusations of hate crimes against gays and Latinos and Muslims are, I heard my sister's friend said that someone, you know, yanked on her hijab, or my sister said they yelled out of the window of a car, go back home. So we assume that they're Trump supporters, and there's no police reports on many of these things.
Right, it's all rumor. And in the window, that the story in Louisiana, a Muslim girl said that two Trump supporters with Trump hats on attacked her and took her hijab and ran down the street, and then later she had to backtrack when the police came and asked her about it. So many of these stories are fake, or else they're leftists pretending that they're Trump supporters who are doing these crimes.
Yeah, you know, Julio, I really can't fathom that they would be that they would be leftists posing as Trump supporters. What with the Project Veritas tape that we heard, where two top Democratic officials had to resign after bragging about how they go, you know, to Trump rallies and try to start fights.
Yeah, this is well organized, well funded. They're obviously planting people to try to create the most damage. There's always seems to be journalists right on site ready to pump a story right into the internet, another negative Trump story, you know, to try to make it look like everything is in disarray. But the truth of the matter is, listen, the people spoke. We had an election that was historic, and we've got to get past that. In the Republican side, too, they passed a tax yesterday on concrete products to try to make it more expensive and tougher in his first year. Listen, we're going to go right into the first year of Trump's presidency, and then right after that into an election year. So if they can stifle him as much as they can here by making things difficult for him, it's going to only hurt them in the midterm coming up.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And let me ask you about the media here, Jim. 28 of 35 U.S. news stories on Tuesday were anti-Trump hit pieces. I don't know. I guess they have a new narrative, or they're picking up any narrative they can. In the days after the election, it was the riots and protests in the streets. Steve Bannon, they're still running with Bannon nonstop. So anything they could do, they will do. But one might have thought, with the latest poll out, that 70% of the people don't trust the media, and how wrong they got it, and how out of touch they were proven to be, and how the WikiLeaks revealed that they're in bed with the left and with the Democrats and Hillary and the DNC, that maybe they would have started from scratch somehow and at least latched on to the fact that Trump won, and let's see where it goes. But they're not doing that.
It's amazing. It's actually stunning that this number of reports yesterday, the top news stories in America, 28 out of 35, were just hit pieces on Trump. You would think there would have been a reprieve, but there isn't. They're just doubling down. It's like they want to see their industry go down the tanker because they're not changing a thing, except they're just continuing to attack him. I mean, even the fact that he went out to eat with his family last night, that became a national story because the poor reporters weren't able to follow him to the restaurant.
How would you like to have been? How would you like to have been sitting in 21 Club and Donald Trump comes walking in? That would have been pretty cool. But let me ask you, Julio. We now have this threat from Google and Facebook that they're moving to restrict ads on what they consider to be fake news sites. Fake news sites. And what are their fake news sites? Well, reportedly, that includes Breitbart, InfoWars, Zero Hedge, Twitchy, The Blaze, which is Glenn Beck's, and who knows who else is on it or will be added to it. Could be you, me, us, them. I mean, it could be any of us. So talk about this attempt at picking and choosing what is a lie and what is true and what is news and what isn't, and doing it with trying to punish those and drive those who they disagree with out of business.
Listen, this is a global attack on free speech. We gave up our sovereignty on the internet and control of the internet actually to an international tribunal. To me, this is a not so thinly veiled attack on the First Amendment. Really, you have to be careful. I mean, fake news is fake news, but these are legitimate sites that have sources. Things turn out to be true. You know, a lot of the conservative media gets attacked because it doesn't want to advance the narrative of the progressives. You know, and you're going to have these unelected bureaucrats deciding which sites are the ones that are actually legitimate, which ones aren't, and that's going to stifle their growth as they try to present, you know, true news to the American people. Listen, it's a free market with the First Amendment as well. I mean, as long as you're not hurting people and you're not caught up in anything that you can be sued for in a libel suit or something like that,
right,
then, you know, you're a news source.
Right. We already have libel laws. If somebody wants to sue a quote-unquote fake news site for an inaccurate or fake or libelous story. So, Jim, where is this going to lead? I mean, you know, I'm looking at the names, and you have a lot more names that I didn't mention, sites that I go to all the time, and I'm sure you do, and they're trying to punish them and drive them out of business. This is this isn't a slippery slope. This is open warfare.
Yeah, absolutely. And Barack Obama said something like this earlier this week, where he said that you know, it's because the Democrats lost because their message wasn't getting across, right? So a good way to get the liberal message across even more. We know that all the mainstream media is liberal already, but it's to shut down some of these pro-Trump websites. And if you'll notice on that list, InfoWars, Breitbart, they were two of the top Trump-supporting websites out there this election cycle, and there wasn't that many. A lot of the Republican websites, you know, they were never Trumper for a long time. So they're targeting the ones who are supporting Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we have a phone call at 877 Newsmax, 877-639-7629. We have Jeff from Cincinnati, Ohio. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling, sir.
Yeah, I was wanting to tell you the local news channel here. Whoever edited their news didn't match it to go along with the rhetoric. There was a bunch of people, Trump supporters, standing on an escalator that wasn't moving, and you seen this guy run down from the top and crash into them and knock them all down the escalator steps. Then a bunch of people caught the guy, but what their rhetoric was, I guess they weren't watching their own news when they delivered it. Said a bunch of Trump supporters brutally tackle Hillary supporter and throw him to the ground.
Oh, they left out the fact that if you're accurate, they left out the fact that he had just caused injury and knocked people off a still escalator, right?
Yeah, and they held him to the ground. They didn't tell that part either until the police came and arrested the guy for assault.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate that report. Thank you very much. And it just shows, guys, we are, in fact, in big trouble. Now, what they don't report, and another story I saw on your site, the Gateway Pundit, Jim, is that Trump has already had an effect. Look, we know he's spoken to world leaders. We know that the Mexican president has said he'll sit down, he'll renegotiate parts of NAFTA with them. I mean, already after tough rhetoric before the election. And now we know that Ford has said they're shifting truck production from Mexico to Ohio already.
How about that? The Trump effect. And we're seeing it all over the place, Steve. The stock market's about ready to break 19,000. The peso's way down in Mexico. And now we're seeing some jobs move back to the U.S. So whether this had anything to do with Trump or not, we don't know. But it certainly is a good story, and it's hopeful that we're going to see some real change in this country finally.
And Julio, I want to address with you this nonsense that Hillary won the popular vote. It doesn't matter. It's like saying that, this team won the Super Bowl, but the other team had less penalties. So, or this team won the World Series in 7 games, but the other team that lost scored tons more runs in the games they lost. They won every game 10-0. They only won their games by 1 run. So, there's something to be said for that. No, if the election were about most votes, then Trump and Hillary would have campaigned almost in every state. It's not about that. So they campaigned for the Electoral College, and Trump won it in a landslide.
Exactly. And if you take out California, she got creamed. I mean, in California, that's the one state where you have a kooky governor that decides that they're going to allow people to register to vote when they get licenses in concert with allowing illegals to get driver's licenses. So come on, that California vote doesn't mean anything. And if you take that away, she got destroyed, across the board nationally. So listen, I don't want to hear about it anymore. They're going to crybaby in any way that they can instead of thinking positively. And actually, what we need to do is keep an eye out on Obama. He has a month left.
I know. He has 2 months left, Julio. 2 months, and it's very scary. Jim and Julio, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hey, what's the new key to immigration reform? Michael Barone of the Washington Examiner will be here next to answer that question and more. Don't go anywhere.